This LSU coaching search is one of the biggest stories of the year, and I am monitoring it closely, and I did want to talk about it for a couple of minutes because I've talked to people all day about it, talked to people the past couple of days about it. First bullet point I have written right here, show me your staff. That's what it's going to be about in the LSU coaching search, and any coaching search, but especially this one. You got to show me the staff. Okay, there is no candidate out there that I look at singularly anymore in these searches, and I say, oh, if you land him, ball game. If you land him, it's done. It's a wrap. It's a grand slam. We cannot use that kind of language anymore. We got to be better about this. We got to be smarter about this on this campus, on this show at least. So it is about the staff you can bring with you. If I'm going to hire Lane Kiffin, is Pete Golding coming with him? Charlie Weiss Jr. coming with him? Is Pete staying to take the job at Ole Miss? Like, how does that happen? How does that work? I need to know that. I'm using Lane Kiffin's name because Kiffin's on the top of a lot of hot boards. But if it wasn't Kiffin, if it was Marcus Freeman, if it was me, if it was Jess, if it was whoever, who are you bringing with you? And if I'm an athletic director, man, or if I'm making these hires, period, I got to have a really good indication, especially with what we just went through here, with what Brian Kelly put on the field the first couple of years before I know you're my guy. I got to know who your guys are, who you're bringing with you. So Pete Nakos, who works in the same building we're doing this show in right now, because we do the show from the On3 building. Pete sits right out there just grinding away on the phone. And there are about 2 or 3 times per day where I look up, and our office is completely glass, so I can see out of it. And you see Pete walking towards you. And I just put my pen down, I put my papers down, I put my feet up on the desk, I put my hands behind my head, I lean back in the swivel chair, and Pete walks in, and I just smile because I know we have an update coming. And that's what life has been like around here, really since the Florida job and the Penn State jobs opened up. And it is still that way with the LSU job. This is Pete's hot board right now. I would encourage you to be following him if you're not already. I got a couple of gifts of Pete that I'm just waiting to drop for when he breaks this next bit of news that he breaks whenever it is. But right now, his hot board, and I don't think this is in any particular order. These are just names to watch. Of course, you got Kiffin there. Marcus Freeman's on the list. I know that's a hot button issue considering they just took a guy from Notre Dame and it failed. That means nothing. You can take 14 coaches from Notre Dame if you think they're the right ones. Freeman's there. Now, what we don't know is, will he have any interest in the job? But that's why you make the phone call. You got to find out. Kenny Dillingham is on this list. Jeff Brom. I've spoken many times, about how good I think Jeff Brom is, how good he would be anywhere. The thing about Jeff Brom is he doesn't really care what you think about him. He knows how to win. So if you value such things, then Jeff Brom's your guy. He is not the most equipped to kiss the babies and to take the pictures and to make all the appearances. I guess he could. It's just not up his alley. He's too busy winning. Ugh, who wants that? He can't win the press conference. Who wants that? Eli Drinkwitz is on here. Clark Lee, Brent Key, John Summerall, Joe Brady's on there. Now, the thing about Summerall that I wonder, because Summerall would be close to the top of any list for me right now. I've talked about John several times. He's the head coach at Tulane. For those of you unfamiliar, I was doing Blake Ruffino's show down in Louisiana yesterday, and he mentioned something on air. It wasn't private. He said, I just kind of wonder, this is him speaking, he said, I kind of wonder from the political side of things, since you have the governor involved on the LSU coaching search, what are the optics of being involved in taking the head coach at Tulane, that's a university in New Orleans, for those of you who don't know where Tulane is, and moving him over to LSU? And I never thought about it. And I have no clue if that means something or not. Just something to keep an eye on. So I think John Summerall has a lot of fans in that building. John Summerall's got a lot of fans in most buildings. But Lane Kiffin is the name that has dominated this search so far. So I'll go back to the same thing with Kiffin that I've always said. Does he know what he would do if this offer was put in front of him? I know what his representation would do. His representation would want him to take the job. His representation is not him. He is him. He's probably going to use that soundbite. Does Kiffin know what he would do if this offer were put in front of him? I don't know. It could come down to a coin flip in the parking lot for all I know. Does he value this job over the Florida job? A lot of fans out there debating that. It's so stupid. It's such a waste of time. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what that guy thinks. What if he thinks the Illinois job's better than both of them? Well, then it doesn't matter how stupid that sounds to us. It matters what he thinks. I highly doubt he thinks that, but you get my point. So that's all that matters there. You're going to have to decide. We'll get back to the video 1 second. Do me one quick favor. Look down. Make sure you're subscribed. Most of you are. If you're not, please do so. It's the way we keep the channel free, we keep the videos coming, and we get to do college football year-round as God intended. All right, as promised, back to the video. Number one, are you happy at Ole Miss? Could you be happier elsewhere? Have you really meant what you've said about that being home? If it is home to you, do you want to leave home? Does legacy matter to you? Do you think you could rewrite your legacy at a different place? Just all this stuff. All this stuff is going to weigh heavily into this. And guys, that's if he's actually number one on these lists. You know, we've gone quite a while now where the Penn State job's been open. Penn State job comes open. What was the headline? Wall to wall. The headline was Matt Rule's their number one guy. I don't think Matt Rule's their number one guy at all. But that didn't stop people from reporting it. So Lane Kiffin, reportedly, number one guy at Florida, number one guy at LSU. Well, let's just wait and see if that's true. Here's how you'll know that's true. If he ends up taking the job, then you'll know he was really high up on their list. But I can tell you quite confidently, there are some job searches, there are some coaching searches in recent history where Lane Kiffin's name has been floated and he was never a candidate. He was never on the list for the job. That's not LSU or Florida, so maybe he is way high up on those lists. Maybe Lane Kiffin's image is such now that it's a lot more palatable than it used to be. I don't care about any of that stuff, frankly. I care about who he would bring with him. I care about who's on his staff, just like I care about who is on Summerall's staff or Eli Drinkwitz's staff. That's what I care about. That's how you win at LSU. That's how you win anywhere else. That's how you fit. I will tell you this, you will never convince me that the working theory is true that, oh, the pool is so thin right now of quality candidates. Quality according to who? A sports writer? A talk show host? Like, when's the last time any of us hired a head coach? When's the last time you vetted one? When's the last time you looked at the background check of one? What are your critical factors? How do you know? Now, I'm a big Matt Campbell guy, so like I would use Matt Campbell as an example. How do you know how to extrapolate the results he's gotten in Ames, Iowa, and how that would translate to anywhere? State College, Pennsylvania, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Knoxville, Tennessee, if the Tennessee job were open. How do you know? Do you even know how to calculate that? Do you know who to ask about that sort of thing? So it doesn't really matter if you look at a hot board, aside from Pete Nakos, of course, if you look at any hot board out there and they get to about 5 or 6 names and then say, hey, man, past this, there aren't really any quality candidates out there. How do you even know who a quality candidate is? And for anyone who says that, for me to take you serious, you have to have been touting Kurt Cignetti a couple of years ago when the Indiana job was open. Because if you weren't, you don't know how to spot a quality candidate any better than I do, any better than anyone else does. And that doesn't make athletic directors experts either, because they screw this stuff up all the time as well. So what's the science here? Well, it's very inexact. And I do think there's a lot of coin flip, crapshoot type dynamics to this, but you greatly tilt the odds in your favor if you understand how to hire a staff. Staff properly. I am a believer that when it comes to the LSU job, there's so many baked in advantages there. There are 20 or 30 head coaches or head coaching candidates that would win at LSU if they just staff properly. That's it. That's it. That's as easy and as difficult as that. The other part that's out of their control, but that they're going to want, is alignment. And alignment is something that's been, I don't know, maybe in a state of flux there, to say the least. They don't have a president. The governor's swinging the hammer right now. Scott Woodward's there today. Is he going to be there next week? What I'm hearing is maybe not. So I don't even necessarily know if he's the one running point on this coaching search. That's the athletic director down there. For those unfamiliar, I haven't been crazy with the job he's done there anyway. So if I were an LSU fan, that would kind of be music to my ears. Alignment. In this day and age, in a day and age where we are seeing that you can win big at Indiana, and if you can do it in Indiana, respectfully, you can do it at a lot of other places. If you staff properly and you have proper alignment and investment, no one is just crawling over broken glass to get these jobs anymore if they don't have alignment. So you're LSU, yeah. Are you one of the best jobs in the country? Yes, I think so. You better have alignment because it doesn't matter what those three letters look like and how great Tiger Stadium is at night and all that stuff. The cosmetics of the job are irrelevant if the criticals aren't in the order they should be in. So the alignment piece is something you can't see on the surface. But a head coach is going to demand it before he takes your job. And you'll never win without it. And that could just as soon be copied and pasted for all these other jobs. I don't know who I would bet on right now. I guess if we were doing the odds, I guess I would lean Lane Kiffin without even knowing if he's going to take the job or if the job's going to get offered to him. Just full disclosure there. It's still early. It is October. We've got a long runway here, but man, those conversations are happening. It's a really interesting time. Behind the scenes down there, it's a really interesting time because I think maybe, like 6 months ago, even if you told me the job's going to come open, that would not have been the biggest shock in the world to me. Who's running the search? That may be where things have changed a little bit, for the better, for LSU.